Something else you can bookmark, Steve, is the fact that Ty France is going to be here next year.
Viva la
And
France!
Viva! And we've been talking a lot about the pitching from Monday night's win because, quite frankly, the pitching is the reason that the Reds won. They allowed 0 runs. And the Reds, they only scored 1. And that was thanks to Ty France. He went 2 for 4, had the only RBI on Monday. So, game-winning RBI, all that wonderful stuff. But he is a guy that, honestly, whenever the Reds first got him, we both were like, great, sounds fun. Whatever, Seattle's throwing him away. I guess we'll give them some cash and we'll see what we got. And what we got so far has been pretty encouraging.
I've been seeing the comment section, Jeff. I know you read everything that gets written to us as well. And there's been a lot of people talking about Ty France being the everyday first baseman next year, that he should be in that conversation, or he should be that guy. And I know that you pushed back on it a little bit. We didn't go that route when we did our way too early lineups on the live show last week. But I wanted to ask you this in a blind taste test, Jeffrey. If you have to pick one of these as your heir apparent, your starting first baseman, let's say heading into spring training, if you're making a depth chart before spring training, is your first baseman the guy who has a slash line of 266, 341, 412? Or is your first baseman the guy that has a slash line of 243, 291, 414? While you think, a bonus statistic, the first guy has a career OPS plus of 114. The second guy has a career OPS plus of 88.
I mean, just by the stats, I know who we're talking about here, because I can guess. But just by the stats, you take the 114 OPS plus guy, plus the fact that he has 6 seasons that he's done that with.
Yeah, that is Ty France. The first guy is Ty France, 266, 341, 412, an OPS of 114. The other guy, that is Christian Encarnacion-Strand in his very short major league career, 243, 291, 414, 88 OPS plus, or as I like to call that, 12% below league average.
And this is kind of where, when we were doing our lineup talk the other day, I'm curious about how serious the Reds are about overhauling the outfield and who their first baseman is. Because we'll see. Like, they might just pencil in Christian Encarnacion-Strand. And quite frankly, he's going to have some sort of hand that is reminiscent of Luke Skywalker's, because he broke 2 wrist bones and tore a ligament, and who knows what's there anymore. He might even have a wrist. Might have to have some sort of biomechanical wrist or something. That doesn't exist, but that'd be kind of cool.
So basically, you're saying we need the artificial hands for both CES and Joe Burrow in Cincinnati, right?
Really,
we just
really got to get that going. Where's that droid at that put that thing together? Anyway, so we don't know what we're going to get out of him. The only concern that I have is that over the last 2 years, yes, his slugging percentage for his career, for Ty France, for 6 years, is over 400. But for the last 2 seasons, looking at his time in Seattle included in this, his slugging percentage has been under 390. So we're not talking about a big bopper. We're not talking about a power hitting guy. I like him more as a bench piece, more of a depth guy that, you can bring in as a good pinch hit. If you need him to give somebody a day off at first base, that's fine. And quite frankly, I think the best case scenario for this team is that they go get a couple of outfielders and they put Spencer Steer at first base. I don't think they're going to go out and get a first baseman, although we could salivate a little bit about the chances that they go get Pete Alonso. But I think at the end of the day, the easier answer and the better answer for me is that Spencer Steer plays first base. And you work CES in. You see where he's at, see how he can get better, because it was clear that the injury sapped him a little bit, but my goodness, he couldn't hit a baseball for the better part of 2 months before hitting the injured list. So I cannot, in good conscience, just say, yeah, we're handing him the first base job on opening day right now.
Yeah, here's the one part of our lineup discussion that I am going to stand by. I'm really considering Ty France getting an opportunity here. But I do stand by that CES is not going to be a guy sitting on the end of the Reds bench next to David Bell, hoping to get into play. If he's not starting, he's not on this team. He'll be in Louisville. I think he has options. It would make no sense at all to have him as a bench guy for the Cincinnati Reds in 2025. So you're right. It is very interesting because the outfield really depends a whole lot on this. I don't see them getting enough outfielders. I think they'll sign one. Yeah. We're asking for 2. They'll get 1. That's going to be a right fielder, I think. Spencer Steer will stay in left. TJ Friedel will stay in center. This first base conversation, I really think, comes down to CES in France. And I think Jeimer Candelario is your designated hitter next
Juan
season.
Soto does play right field. Yes, he does.
I don't think there's a lot of moves that they're going to be able to make on that infield. I think it's getting very narrowly defined here pretty quick. And Ty France and his success, I think, has complicated the conversation. I don't think when they brought him in here, they thought he was going to be this dude. I think this is a surprise. I think they were looking for a body. They were looking for somebody that could hold their own at the major league level. They weren't expecting to get a guy that was going to make us have this conversation about who's playing first base next year.
Yeah, it's funny. I tweeted something about, whenever France got this RBI and Reds go up 1-0, I was just like, boy, what a nice find that Ty France has had. And somebody replied to me, who was just like, yeah, amongst all of these other guys, and he listed like all the different players that the Reds have acquired this year that haven't done anything at all. And it's just like, yeah. It's kind of like that guy that takes every line on FanDuel just so that he can hit at least one of the lines. Not going to say that's what I tried to do on the first NFL Sunday, but it's kind of how it felt.
How'd that work out for you?
It didn't work out very well. But I mean, Ty France has really shown that the Reds can feel good about their depth, and he is under team control through arbitration for another year. Now, next year will be his last year of arbitration, so that's the only year of team control past this season. And he made about $6.7 million this year, so I still think that it's very rare that a player loses money in arbitration. He probably gets a raise to about 7.5, maybe 8 million, something like that. So that might be a little bit interesting depending on what the Reds see from him. I still think that they keep him and they pay him that money. But overall, I think that the Reds have really found somebody that you can feel good about the depth. And I know. We did this back in February, and it seems like we might be starting this again. But Santiago Espinal and Ty France makes them feel good.
Where are they going to play all these guys, Jeff? Where's everybody going to play?
Be careful to not choke on your ambition, often Baker. And that's where we will end today's podcast.